Chapter 1. The Girl Who Loved Rainy Days. The soft pitter-patter of rain against the window was Emma's favorite sound. It made the world feel quieter, slower, like time itself had paused just for her. Every morning, without fail, she walked to Sunny's coffee shop, a cozy little place tucked between a bookstore and a flower shop. The smell of freshly baked muffins and rich coffee wrapped around her like a warm hug as she stepped inside. Emma was shy, the kind of girl who preferred books to people. Stories were easier to understand. They had clear beginnings, exciting middles, and happy endings. Real life, not so much. She took her usual seat by the window, ordered her usual tea and chocolate muffin, and opened her book. Today, it was Pride and Prejudice. She had read it a dozen times, but Mr. Darcy's brooding charm never got old. Chapter 2. The Crowded Cafe and the Empty Chair. But today was different. A sudden downpour had driven half the neighborhood into Sunny's, and every table was packed except one. A young man sat there, sipping his coffee while skimming through a newspaper. He had messy brown hair, a faint scar above his eyebrow, and the kind of smile that made people instantly trust him. Emma hesitated. She hated interrupting strangers, but the rain outside was getting heavier, and her tea was getting cold. Taking a deep breath, she approached. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Is this seat taken?" The man looked up, his hazel eyes warm and inviting. "Not at all," he said, moving his newspaper aside. "Plenty of room." Emma sat down, her heart beating just a little faster. Chapter 3. The First Conversation. For a while, silence hung between them. Emma pretended to read, but her eyes kept drifting to the stranger's hands, strong, with faint ink stains on the fingers. A writer? An artist? Then, as if sensing her curiosity, he spoke. "That's a classic," he said, nodding at her book. Emma blinked. "You've read Pride and Prejudice?" He grinned. "Guilty. My sister made me read it. Said I needed more romance in my soul." Emma laughed, surprising herself. "And did it work?" "Well," he leaned in slightly, lowering his voice like he was sharing a secret. "I still prefer adventure novels, but I won't deny Elizabeth Bennet is something else." Something about the way he said it made Emma's cheeks warm. Chapter 4. The Unexpected Connection. His name was Jake, she learned. He was a travel writer who had just returned from Portugal. He loved old jazz records, hated cilantro, and had a habit of humming when he was lost in thought. Emma, who usually struggled with small talk, found herself talking easily with him. They discussed books, movies, their favorite rainy day activities. At one point, Jake pulled out his phone and showed her a picture of a tiny kitten he'd rescued in Lisbon. "You kept her?" Emma asked. "Couldn't say no to those eyes," Jake admitted sheepishly. "Now she rules my apartment like a tiny queen." Emma smiled. A man who loves cats. Interesting. Chapter 5. The Note That Changed Everything. Just as Emma was finishing her tea, Jake hesitated, then reached into his bag. I have something for you," he said, sliding a folded piece of paper across the table. Emma opened it. Inside, in neat handwriting, it read, "Life is like a book. The best stories are the ones we write together. Will you have coffee with me again tomorrow?" Her heart skipped. She looked up, and Jake's expression was hopeful, almost nervous. Emma smiled. "I'd love to." And just like that, their story began. Chapter 6. The Second Meeting. The next morning, Emma arrived at Sunny's coffee shop earlier than usual. She wore her favorite blue scarf, the one her grandmother had knitted for her. and a nervous smile. Would Jake show up? What if yesterday was just a polite gesture? But there he was, sitting at the same table, 2 steaming cups in front of him. "You came," he said, his eyes lighting up. Emma exhaled, not realizing she'd been holding her breath. "You too." Jake pushed one of the cups toward her. "I took a guess. Chai tea with a dash of honey?" Emma blinked. "How did you—" "You took 3 sugars yesterday, but you only stirred in 1. Figured you liked it sweeter, but didn't want to seem indulgent." A laugh escaped her. "That's scarily observant." Jake grinned. "Writer's habit. I notice things." Chapter 7. The walk in the park. After coffee, Jake asked if she'd like to walk through the nearby park. The rain had stopped, leaving the air fresh and crisp. Emma hesitated. She had planned to go straight home, but something about Jake made her want to say yes to things she normally wouldn't. "Okay," she said. They strolled under the golden leaves of oak trees, talking about everything and nothing. Jake told her about his travels, getting lost in Venice, eating street food in Bangkok, watching the sunrise over the Sahara. Emma listened, fascinated. She had never left her hometown. "You should come with me sometime," Jake said casually. Emma's heart jumped. "Really?" "Sure. The world's too big to see alone." Chapter 8. The Little Things. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Jake fell into a rhythm. They met every morning at Sunny's. Jake always saved her seat. Emma always brought a new book to recommend. Small things became meaningful. Jake learning how she took her tea. Emma noticing he always tapped his fingers when thinking. The way they both reached for the last muffin at the same time, then laughed and split it in half. One afternoon, Jake surprised her with tickets to a jazz concert. Emma surprised him by actually enjoying it. Chapter 9. The first real challenge. But then one day, Jake wasn't at the coffee shop. Emma waited and waited. No text, no call. Her stomach twisted. Had she imagined their connection? She pulled out her phone, typed a message, then deleted it. Don't seem desperate. But by evening, worry won. She sent, "Everything okay?" No reply. Chapter 10. The truth revealed. 2 days passed. Emma's hope faded. Then, early on the 3rd morning, a knock at her door. Jake stood there, exhausted but smiling. In his arms was a tiny gray kitten, wrapped in a blanket. "Sorry," he said. "This little one got sick. I've been at the vet nonstop." Emma's worry melted into relief. "You could have told me." Jake rubbed his neck. "I wanted to, but I also didn't want to, scare you off with my crazy cat guy side yet." Emma laughed, stepping aside. "Come in, both of you." As Jake crossed the threshold, she realized, this is more than coffee dates. This matters. Chapter 11. The Almost Kiss. The kitten, now named Storm, after the rainy day they met, became a regular at Emma's apartment. Jake visited often, always with a new story or a silly cat toy. One evening, as they sat on Emma's couch, watching an old movie, Storm curled between them. The credits rolled, and the room fell into comfortable silence. Jake turned to Emma. "I should probably go." But neither moved. Emma's eyes flickered to his lips. Jake's breath hitched. The air between them crackled, until Storm stretched, knocking over a cup with her tail. They burst out laughing, the moment broken. Jake stood, rubbing his neck. "See you tomorrow?" Emma nodded, her heart still racing. What just almost happened? Chapter 12. The Doubt. The next morning, Jake was distant. He barely touched his coffee. Emma frowned. "Everything okay?" Jake hesitated. "I got an offer. A 6-month assignment in Japan." Emma's stomach dropped. That's amazing. Yeah. He didn't sound excited. Silence stretched between them. Emma's mind raced. 6 months? Will we just forget each other? Jake finally met her eyes. I don't want to go. Emma's breath caught. Then don't. It's not that simple. This could launch my career. Emma forced a smile. You should go, but her voice cracked on the last word. Chapter 13. The airport. Goodbye. 2 weeks later, Emma stood at the airport, gripping Jake's sleeve. Take care of Storm, he joked weakly. Emma swallowed the lump in her throat. Bring me back a weird snack. They hugged, too tight, too long. As Jake pulled away, Emma blurted, Wait. She pressed a small notebook into his hands. Write to me, even if it's just one line. Jake's eyes softened. He cupped her face. Every day, then he was gone. Chapter 14. The letters. True to his word, Jake wrote, Tokyo smells like ramen and rain. You'd love it. Miss our coffee mornings. Storm would hate it here. No sunny windowsills. Emma replied. The barista asked where you were. I lied and said, on vacation. Read your last article. You're a brilliant writer. Come home soon. With every note, the unspoken truth grew heavier. Chapter 15. The Return. 4 months early, Emma's doorbell rang. Jake stood there, duffel bag over his shoulder, grinning like a madman. You're back? Emma gasped. I quit. He stepped closer. I kept writing about all these incredible places, but all I could think was, Emma should be seeing this too. Emma's vision blurred. You gave up Japan for me? Jake shook his head. I chose us over a story I didn't want to write alone. Chapter 16. The Love Confession. Emma threw her arms around him. Jake spun her, laughing, until they both stumbled against the wall. Breathless, Jake whispered, I love you, Emma. I think I have since the day you stole half my muffin. Emma kissed him, finally, properly, and whispered against his lips, Took you long enough. Epilogue. 1 year later, the coffee shop regulars no longer batted an eye at Jake feeding Emma bites of his croissant, Emma reading aloud while Jake took notes, Storm napping in a carrier under their table. And when it rained, they held hands under the awning, remembering how their story began, one crowded table at a time.